Hey, what's going on, guys? It is your host with the most, Underdone Toaster, coming alive. And this is episode 13. Episode 13 of the Social Eclipse Podcast, Philosophy Edition. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Z Buckner. And today, we are going to be covering a topic that I think everyone thinks about quite a lot. Especially if you're into science and astronomy. And that is that the Earth is but a small speck in the endless void of space.
It's a very comforting thought, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely thought about this a lot because I love documentaries in general, but I really like space documentaries, going over like black holes and wormholes and stars, galaxies, and yeah, it's just insane to watch them make comparisons such as, hey, if you were to take every single grain of sand on Earth, that would still not be the number of I think it's the number of stars in the universe. Like, there are trillions of stars, and each star is likely to have a few planets. So
doesn't every galaxy have to have a star? Isn't that what makes it a galaxy?
I would say 99%. I mean, I don't know of any galaxies that don't have stars, so I think so.
Yeah.
But, actually, you're thinking about solar systems. Solar systems need stars. Galaxies usually have a major black hole at the center.
Oh.
Yeah. So, did you know that we got our first picture of a black hole a few years ago?
I did. I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty
sweet. I'm
not
sure if I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
fuzzy, but it's still cool to look at and be like, dang, that's like, we've never actually seen one before. It's been theoretical all the way up until now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I love watching those documentaries. I love watching YouTube videos where they'll like compare the distance between us and other stars. And you hear things like, oh, the next star over is only 3 light years away or whatever. But then you measure how long it would take us without light speed travel to get to it. And it's like, currently at our maximum speed that we can reach, it would take us something insane, like 20,000 years. So we are still very far from actually reaching other stars and other planets, but I think the closest thing to it right now is the Voyager, but even that is like not even 100th of the way there yet. So just kind of insane to think about how large space is and how we're just on a rock, and if we get unlucky enough, a solar flare could wipe us out, or a major asteroid, or something we don't even understand yet could just wipe our entire planet in like 2 minutes.
That's true, and I wonder what the odds are of each like catastrophic event, right? Because space is huge, like massive huge, like we can't even comprehend how big space is. So you'd think the odds of something like that happening are rather slim. But, Earth gets hit by small rocks on a, pretty frequent basis. You know what I mean? Like it's a pretty prevalent and common threat that you hear about. Every couple months it feels like, oh, new asteroid that could wipe out Earth, and we'll be here in however many years. So these things do happen, right?
Right. And
the Earth has been around for millions and millions of years, and we haven't been completely destroyed yet. It's kind of a miracle. There have been extinction events, and I'm not sure if have they definitively stated that the dinosaurs went extinct because of an asteroid, or is that still a theory among like 5 different theories, or is that like, because I remember at one point that was the leading theory.
Yeah, they're still pretty sure it's an asteroid, but it's also a mix of a few other events that were going on at the time. But yeah, it was mostly at the asteroid. I think that there's been 7 mass extinctions throughout the entire history of life on Earth. And I remember one of them wiped out like 95% of all life on Earth, which is insane to think about.
I think it's 5. The reason I know that is because Death Stranding. I think
Oh,
there's
really?
been
Okay.
5 extinction events.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. One
It's
of them,
crazy.
one of them wiping out 95%. That means that only 5% of all life on Earth were able to pass their genes on. Like, I wonder if the other 95% are like alien to us, you know? Completely
Right.
different.
Yeah. It's weird. That's really weird.
Yeah. But yeah, if life has been able to survive this long for billions of years, then obviously it's pretty resilient. I can't say how long humans are going to live on for, but maybe even if an asteroid did strike Earth or if a solar flare hit Earth, maybe something would survive. Like, you hear about those really small, they kind of look like ticks, and they can live like in space without oxygen, without water, without food for like months or something. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, there's some microscopic animal out there that is basically impossible to kill, and scientists have said that if we ever want to like spread life to other planets, then we could just like send them off on an asteroid or something.
No way.
Yeah, let me see what it's called. Tardigrades, that's what they're called. It says bake them, freeze them, fire them from a gun, or blast them into space. They can survive almost anything. It's hilarious. But
dude, you know what they should do is like send 2 of them to Mars, and then they can breed and start life on Mars, huh?
yeah, I mean, have you heard that the... I gotta be careful with how I word this, but did you hear that they have strong evidence of former life on Mars that they like just discovered a few days ago?
A few days ago? No.
Yeah, and
No.
I hate to even bring it up because you hear that kind of crap all the time, and
Yeah.
I'm the kind of guy where I'm like, okay, I've heard this so many times that unless you say for sure, then like I don't really care. But it does seem like their evidence is pretty strong. Apparently here on Earth,
Wow.
there's a rock formation that can only be formed with life. Like, scientists don't know how else it could happen, and they found that rock formation on Mars. And it's really old. It's like millions of years, billions of years, whatever, that old. But they don't have any idea of what else could have made it. So they're thinking that it was some kind of bacteria.
Wow. I've never heard this before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Even if they did discover life on Mars, I don't think it would really change the way we do things. Because what we're really looking for is the species is intelligent life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I always kind of held the opinion that technology is advancing so fast in this day and age that we will find life in space in my lifetime, but it's going to be like bacteria or something. Or like some worm at the very most, like some worm that lives way underground and on some planet, you know what I mean? So I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility at all. I mean, all you need is some sort of like somewhat habitable environment, you know, for something. I mean, bacteria can thrive in some pretty crazy, you know, everything needs water, but things like bacteria can survive without basically anything.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's not that far-fetched.
Yeah, my biggest question is basically the chicken and the egg. Like, was life on Mars first and then an asteroid hit it and sent it to Earth? Or was life on Earth and an asteroid hit it and sent it to Mars? You know, that would kind of change things for us if we found out that we're all Martians, right?
You think they migrated here?
Well, I think that if they're really resilient species, like the ones that I just brought up, or a really resilient form of bacteria, then let's say a major asteroid hits it, blows it off into space, and then the asteroid somehow lands back up on Earth. Like, the chances are really small, but if they found life on Mars, chances are we came from the same source. Like, I highly doubt that there's going to be life on Mars
You
from...
think? Man,
Yeah.
I don't follow you on that one. I don't follow you at all on that one.
Really?
Yeah. So, hold on. Let me follow. I feel really stupid because you're saying this like I should get it.
Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
think- So an asteroid. Okay. What starts? Let's say, in this theory, let's say it was at Mars first and it comes here. So in that hypothetical scenario, life is on Mars, right? And then an asteroid hits it, and like, what? The explosion causes the bacteria to release from Mars orbit and fly in this direction. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that there could be an asteroid large enough where it hits Mars, breaks up the crust, and sends rocks and dust and debris past the atmosphere outside of its gravitational pull. So then it's free floating in space, and eventually it's pulled into Earth's orbit instead. And then life, whatever it is.
Can an impact like that? I guess I was going to say, can an impact like that, like, be strong enough to release itself from Mars orbit? But I guess, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, definitely.
That's not. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
So my question is,
I'm not sure life is proof that they're both, that we're both from the same source. You know what I mean? I see what you mean. Like, what are the odds that we're this close in the universe?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, if we haven't found life by now on another planet with all of our technology, it either means that we're alone or that life is, like, more rare than we thought. Of course, there's Fermi paradox and there's other explanations.
Or our technology sucks.
Or our technology sucks. But, with current technology, we've already spotted tens of thousands of planets, and from what we can tell, we haven't seen anything that would indicate extraterrestrial life. So the point is, I think that it'd be much more likely that Earth and Mars would share a common ancestor than two completely different life forms, and they just so happen to land on these two planets, which are basically right next to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
So the hope is that they go to those rock formations, they do find some kind of life. It's not like DNA is going to be available because DNA doesn't survive that long, but hopefully they'd be able to find some kind of fossil that would tell us if it's a form of bacteria, and then we could know, hey, like, either we're all Martians, life started on Mars actually, or they would theorize that it was the other way around and that life started here on Earth and then made its way to Mars.
You imagine our grandkids, like, in school, they're learning that we came from Mars.
I mean, it's crazy to think about.
That would be nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really believe in any conspiracy theories, but life is just, like, beyond resiliency. Like, the things we can do, like, we kind of think that humankind was kind of incompetent until the last couple centuries, but dude, we were building pyramids thousands of years ago, like huge pyramids that can't even be explained today. You know what I mean? So,
have you?
I think. What?
I was just gonna say, have you seen that meme of Peter Griffin holding up the little skin tone scale? And he's like, yeah, he's like, if it's this skin color or lighter, then humans did it. And if it's this skin color or darker, then it had to have been aliens. He's like, that's why aliens built the pyramids. It's because they were darker skinned people.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's funny. I just think, like, kind of in the zeitgeist of today's society, we kind of tend to think technology always moves forward, and largely that's true. But who's to say that, like, long time ago there wasn't a civilization on this earth or, like, somewhere else that wasn't even more advanced than us? And you'd be like, if it was on this earth, why wouldn't we have more evidence? So, like, I get that, but I don't know where I was going with that. But it's just crazy to think that there might be other life out there that's more advanced maybe our science can't explain like how it survives because it's like in a totally different environment that we're not able to study. You know, we don't have the technology to do that because we're only limited by what we know, and we can only know what we study here. Like that's science, right? It's kind of hard to come up with something that we've never encountered. You know, that's just theoretical at that point. But maybe somewhere else it's not. So maybe they're not playing by our rules, I would say.
Right. Yeah.
I might be really reaching there because science is science, and you know, elements are elements. But
no, I mean everything we know of is from DNA or RNA, and everything we know of is carbon-based life. So if we were to see something out there that was alive, but it wasn't carbon-based, and it didn't have DNA, it was just something completely different, we might not even recognize it, right? It could look like a cloud of gas to us, and we would have like no idea that thing is alive.
Right.
But at the same time, if there was advanced civilizations out there, you'd think that they would sort of go in the same direction as humanity's going, though, in terms of technology, because, you know, technology is mostly based around harnessing energy, and that means building things, that means creating light, that means collecting resources. So you think that we would have somewhat of a similar technology scale as other life forms, because I don't know what else they would be working towards, I guess. Maybe that goes back to them being completely different than us. We don't know.
It's true. Like, maybe they have different tools, different rules, but you're right. Like, as far as goals and what you're working towards, it's got to be like similar motivations. Maybe different speeds. Maybe they do it quicker. You know, maybe they're slower. I mean, why did we pick up speed around the Industrial Revolution? You know, ever since then, it's gone up exponentially, but it took us forever. I mean, it can even be argued that the Middle Ages, like, I don't know, like the first, from like 500 to like 1800 AD, like we almost made like no progress,
right?
Know, largely. And you could even say that the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire and the Egyptians were even more advanced than we were in the Middle Ages, you know. I know they're just TV shows, but I was watching there's two Vikings TV shows. The first one takes place in like 700 AD, and the second one takes place like 1,000 years later or something in like 1700. And there's like no difference in technology, right? It's a huge difference in time, but as far as like the kind of homes they're living in and religion and what they believe and who's in power, like nothing much changed. And I looked it up. I was like, was that true? You know, like, were we really that stagnant as far as technology and advancement? And it kind of was, you know, there's some exceptions here and there, but like we had a long period of just like not really doing anything. And then, you know, Industrial Revolution hits and the iPhone. And now, you know, every iPhone is the same. So we're kind of slowing down again. But
now we're regressing.
Now we're regressing again. But maybe there's a civilization that just never slowed down. I mean, can you imagine if we just kept going at warp speed for thousands of years, like where we'd be today? You know, that would just be nuts, you know. And in a theoretical alien scenario, maybe that's what happened. So
right,
it's interesting to think about. Or maybe the other way around. Maybe they're still cavemen. Maybe they've been around longer than us and they're still ooga boogling, you know.
Right. That's the thing, is even though now we have all this technology and we can see into other galaxies and do crazy things, it did take over 3 billion years for life to get to this point.
Yeah.
And the universe itself is 7 billion years old. So, I mean, you know, there's only a certain amount of time that you have in the universe allowing life to like make it all the way from bacteria to something like humans, which takes, at least for us, it took billions of years without being wiped out by some sort of mass extinction. And now we're starting to finally reach this point where we can build and explore and discover. So yeah, you're right. It's possible that there is life all over the universe, but maybe it just didn't form quite as quickly as we did or as early as we did. So I don't know. That's one of the pieces of the Fermi paradox that we're not too sure on.
I remember, I think it might have been you that told me this. I remember when we used to wake up early in the middle of the night because we thought it gave us the impression that we slept longer. I remember that. You woke up, we were more refreshed. I think it was one of those nights you were telling me about aliens, and it was one, I think you were the person that told me this. How did you say it? You said that it's very probable even that there's other life out there. But even in our, like humans being like coherent, like conscious humans, let's say, how long have we been around, humanity? How long, what's the number?
If you define us as like our species, humans, we've been around for 3 million years.
Okay, 3 million. That sounds like a lot to us, and it is certainly, but like it's a speck in terms of like infinite time. And the odds that there's someone else close enough, number one, to interact with us, an intelligent species even close enough to interact with us at all on another planet, is super rare. And then the odds, not only that, but the odds that they, within that same 3 million years, figure out at the same time how to communicate with us, is even more improbable. Like that's another variable that makes it even more unlikely. And I think you were the one who told me that. And I was like, yeah, that's a pretty good theory. Life is probably out there, but the odds of us both being in the perfect scenario, like both the perfect situations and where we could find each other are like improbable. Because, life, maybe a star blew up and, destroyed some other humanity on some other planet, and we'll never discover it because they're gone now, and then we'll blow up and some other civilization will show up, and because those things do happen, black holes happen, stars happen, heat death of the universe, all that. So it's just very, very improbable. There's too many improbabilities to make it something you can count on.
Right.
Doesn't mean you should give up.
Yeah.
Was it you who told me that? Do you remember saying that?
I mean, it sounds like something I would say, so it very well could have been me.
Yeah.
Something kind of depressing to think about is there used to be a theory that the end of the universe would be the Big Crunch, which is where gravity would be greater than the expansion of the universe, so eventually everything would be pulled back into a center spot and be, crunched, whatever you call it. But scientists have found that with recent estimates, it seems like that's not going to happen. It seems like it's going to be the cold death, where everything expands and expands and expands until everything just burns out. And the depressing part of that for us is that means that as time goes on, we are actually getting further and further away from like the rest of the universe. So even if we do eventually build light speed travel, it's still going to take longer and longer for us to reach other things. And by the time we actually do reach them, like tens of thousands of years could pass, and who knows like what happens in that time frame.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, if you want to ensure humanity's survival, to like survive beyond those ends, I think you've got to invent something that allows you to like live on a ship, like for a long time, almost indefinitely.
Right.
It's kind of hard to kind of just jump around if every planet is doomed, but it's I guess that's a whole nother philosophy topic. What do we do to survive? But I think about the 3-body problem show. I haven't read the book, but the show, where, I mean, is it a spoiler? Should I spoil it? Spoiler alert.
Go ahead and say it.
But spoiler alert. The 3-body problem is basically about aliens who have to come here and take over, our Earth because they can't survive there, the planet that they were on. Am I wrong? I mean, that's
No,
a
yeah,
huge
you're right.
no-go,
Their
but
planet is basically gonna die, so that's why they come over here.
yeah, that's a huge summarize, oversimplification, but and I could see that happening. Not like, yeah, that's not how I word it. I could see that happening, but like, that's how I would realistically see a civilization, how they wanted to survive. They'd have to find another planet that's habitable and pick up ship and just leave. It's kind of hard to just make the best of the situation if Earth is kind of doomed. It's kind of hard to revert that. I feel like the best thing you got to do. You can't fight physics. So,
yeah. Yeah, it kind of frustrates me whenever people ask like, "Hey, we landed on the moon in the 60s and we haven't made any progress since then. What the heck is NASA doing?" But
yeah,
for me, I hear all this stuff about like placing life on Mars and starting to create civilization there, and that makes no sense in my mind because even the best of atmospheric and environmental regions on Mars, even like the best case scenarios over there, are terrible compared to like bad places on Earth. Like you would have a much easier time living in the Sahara Desert than on Mars, I can guarantee.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why we're all so like excited to get to Mars. Like, yeah, it's kind of cool to be on another planet like it was on the moon, but living on there and building a civilization, I think would be just, it doesn't make sense in my mind. It would take too many resources for something that's largely pointless.
Yeah. I think it's romanticized, but you're absolutely right. Like, it's too many resources too expensive, but it's been romanticized by science fiction, and I think it's legitimately like it's a real thing to want to explore the unknown. Like, that's cool, but you're right. When people say like, why haven't we advanced past like the moon, 60 years ago? I kind of agree, but in a different sense. Like, I don't get why like we haven't advanced to like traveling to the moon, like tourists. And again, that's expensive, but I do think people would pay for it. You know what I mean? But largely, I see what you're saying. Like, why isn't the next step Mars and everything? Totally get it. Like, even when they say, Elon Musk, he wants to go to Mars, the first thing my brain goes to is, yeah, cool. But the second thing my brain goes to is like, what's the point? Like,
right.
I don't really see the point beyond like, we did it. And is it worth spending all that money just to say, yeah, we did it? I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that the original goal was to send like the first civilization spacecraft to Mars. It was either in 2020 or 2025. I think it was originally scheduled for 2025.
I think it was 2024.
Was it 2024? And I remember reading
2024. Yeah.
I remember reading articles about it, like all the qualifications and how anyone could sign up, but obviously they're only taking like 10 people. And I remember the biggest thing is they were saying it was a one-way trip.
Yeah, I remember you sent me I don't think it was the application, but you sent me the news that you could apply, and everybody started asking each other, if it was a one-way trip, would you go? And I don't think that's a problem. I don't think you'll have a problem finding people, maybe not people who are qualified, but people who are willing. Not everyone would be willing, but I really don't think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who would.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's got to be a ton of people out there, and I understand that. It's like, yeah, even though life is going to kind of suck because you can never touch grass again, you're still going to go down in the history books of humanity forever. And like, that's one of life's greatest achievements that you can get. So I get that.
Yeah. It's a way to escape too. I mean, people who think they've got nothing going for them here on Earth, like, might as well just go to Mars and just see what's up.
That's true.
I could totally see that as well.
Yeah. Let's see. I do have a few questions here. So, knowing that Earth is just a speck in the vast emptiness of space, do you think that makes our lives feel any more insignificant? Or would you say that it makes life feel more precious?
I think both. I think it can be both. it kind of makes me like, it puts my problems in perspective more than anything. You know, if I'm really like, I look at those pictures, like, I can't remember I don't know, which satellite took that picture. You probably know which one I'm talking about. It's the farthest picture away that we've ever gotten, and it's like literally like a ton of galaxies. You know, looks kind of like a puzzle. And then
the farthest picture we've ever gotten was from the Voyager. Or are you talking about the James Webb Space Telescope, like taking pictures deep into space? Is that what you mean?
I can't remember, but it was a picture of a ton of galaxies, and we were in it. You know, it basically went way out there and then pointed back and just got a bunch of galaxies and kind of put ourselves in perspective of the size and scale of the universe. You know, and then people started making like renderings, you know, like 3D renderings where it would start up at that scale and they would go super fast, like at light speed, and zoom, 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 zoom. And it's like, this is how long it would take to get from that image down to our Earth, you know? And then you zoom in even farther from our Earth, like this is how big you are on the Earth. The first thing for me it does is put it in perspective of like all the problems. You know, I wake up stressing about this and stressing about that. When in reality, you know, my life is only so long, so many years, not to mention it's not guaranteed. You know, I could die at any time. And I'm just like a little ant. I'm a bug. You know, why am I caring so much about this or that stupid thing? And, you know, our problems are really real to us, but in the grand scheme of things, sometimes it's just kind of a sigh of relief to realize that, you know, if I have a bad day, it's not like the entire universe is going to suffer because of it, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, I do that. I do that too sometimes. It's like you're sitting in bed and you think about something dumb you said the other day, and then you just realize, like, hey, first of all, I'm probably the only one thinking about this. Everyone else forgot about it already. And second of all, I'm going to be dead in 100 years, and so is everyone else who knew about that.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, in 1,000 years, I'll probably forget, or people will probably forget that I ever even existed. And then you look at the universe as a whole, and you're like, okay, this doesn't matter in the slightest. It only matters to me right now. So that's a good point.
Kind of kills your ego too, you know.
Yeah.
Like in the most pure way it can. Like nobody really knows, and for me, it brings you closer to the people you do know, right? Like how lucky I am to be here, how lucky I am to feel like the good things and experience the good things and have my short little circle of friends that, you know, who knows if it's coincidence or if there's a purpose to it. Like either way, like I'm pretty lucky to be here at this particular time. And I think that makes not just life more precious, but like our experiences more precious. So in that sense, it's kind of comforting.
Yeah, it is. If life is that rare, or if we are the only ones in the universe, which I still don't have my mind made up about that or not, but it would just put into perspective, like even if you just walk over the sidewalk and you squish an ant, it kind of changes things on my mind, like, oh, it goes from this being a bug to, oh, this is like one of the few living organisms in the entire universe, and I just smushed it like it didn't mean anything.
Yeah, and now that you bring that up, it kind of, like, my mind goes to, because we're all packed into this tiny little area and we're sharing the same experiences, we don't think of it that way, you know? We go to war with each other, we have arguments with each other, we take things for granted, and, you know, I don't think it would be that way. I mean, can you imagine how much more peaceful we would be if, like, every person, like every family, or let's say every town, you take every town in the world, like, I don't know, 10,000 people, and you give them their own planet. And, you know, interstellar travel exists and everything, but you have to travel forever to see your loved ones, you know? You have to travel forever to have negotiations with other towns or countries. Like, I think you wouldn't take it for granted as much. I think people would be more amicable and life would be more precious in a way, but because we're down here in the same place and we don't think about that, You know, we don't think about how rare life really is because it's all around us.
Yeah. I know that there are some religions or sects of spiritualism who will regard all life as sacred. And, you know, we kind of like to make fun of it, being like, oh, you think that, you know, a spider on the wall is, you know, you shouldn't kill it even though it's in your house. But if life really is this rare, I mean, it's really not even a question. With how much we've explored the universe already, unless we're completely blind, it does seem like life is at least very rare. And so every little thing on this planet is like insanely rare in regards to the universe. And maybe it should be respected. Maybe it all should be regarded as sacred. I mean, if there's only a billion ants, there's a lot more than that on the Earth. But for simplicity's sake, if there's only a billion ants on Earth, and it turns out that that's all the ants in the entire universe, and you smush one, then it's like, all right, there goes another ant that you just killed for no reason.
Well, I don't think humanity can appreciate that fully. Like, even though we say it and we think it right now, like, oh, that's crazy how rare it is and how precious that is. I don't think you could subconsciously as a human, like, appreciate it that much, like Gandhi. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we could ever appreciate it that much, just because of the human brain and the way it's wired, but also because, like I said, like, that's not the way it is here. Like, we only experience what we experience. I mean, how often are you going to go day by day and, oh, life is rare, life is rare? How often is that thought going to come to your head? You know, we only have so many worries, and we get exhausted, we get tired, and we have bad experiences with each other. So we have bad feelings toward each other, and people are scared of spiders and annoyed by spiders, you know? So I think humanity is a lot more complicated, and we don't really have the capacity to maybe appreciate the gravity of that, of, you know, just how rare life is and just how precious life is, you know, as far as time wise, not just rarity and you know, how exotic we are.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not meant to, you know, maybe we're not meant to. Maybe if we lived longer, that would solve it. Maybe if our days were longer, that would solve it. Maybe if our problems in life weren't as you know, maybe if they were more trivial, even though they're already trivial, maybe if we didn't have to worry about so many things, we could appreciate things like that. But as far as it is now, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, and the way that life is structured here on Earth, it's like everything that you do for resources and for energy comes from consuming other life, whether it's like an animal or a plant.
Yeah.
So
like survival instincts, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting to think all the way back to the very first organism. Like, I don't know if that's a completely different subject entirely, maybe for another podcast topic, or we could mix it in with this one. But think back billions and billions of years. Like, can you imagine there's just one little speck organism and somehow it survives and multiplies and multiplies and multiplies and multiplies all the way down into where we are today? It's just our Earth is in this insane Goldilocks zone where the temperature is perfect. We have the moon, which is perfect. We have Jupiter, which captures asteroids from killing us. We have the sun, which is like perfect. There's so many things that make Earth a habitable planet that it is insane to think just like how lucky we are that, first of all, life formed in the first place, and second of all, that it was able to survive and replicate trillions of times all the way to get to where we are now.
That's true, and it makes me think of the variety. Number one, in just the sheer amount of, like, you imagine how many, or not imagine, just think about how many types of species live on this planet. I don't even know. Like, there's probably a number out there. Maybe we should GPT it, but we haven't even figured it all out. You know, there's so much in the deep ravines of the ocean that we haven't found. So we definitely haven't mapped our entire biology of the Earth. But what we have, it's crazy, like how diverse, like, our life on our planet is. number one. And number two, just like the diversity of like climates and biomes on Earth. You know, one of my gripes with Star Wars, and I don't think about this much when I watch Star Wars, but you ever notice that all the planets in Star Wars are like, you know, all one climate? Like, there's a water planet, and this is the forest planet, and this is the ice planet.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I didn't, it's kind of weird to think about, but like Earth has so many different, you know, sites to see. One of my favorite subreddits to go on is geography. Because they just those pictures of like these weird places on Earth. And it's like, oh, you bet you've never seen this before. And it looks totally not like Earth, you know, because it's like nothing you've ever seen before.
Yeah.
And our planet's big, but, you know, I've flown across the globe, and yeah, it was a long flight, but like the fact that I could fly across the globe in one day means it's not like insanely big of a planet. And still within that planet, you fit so many different forms of life and so many different, you know, images and sites and cultures. And yeah, it is, you're right. It's pretty crazy, like how it turned out to be the way that it was, and just the perfect environment that it was.
Yeah, I think it's one of the many reasons why I consider myself to be a religious person, like believing in a higher power is just like, I don't know if other animals do this, probably not as much as us. But just looking at something as simple as a mountain range, or watching a documentary about like some tribe in Africa, or going to a cultural event and learning about all the different countries and their languages and what they eat. I mean, it's just like such a cool thing how diverse this planet is, and how diverse even just humanity has become. I mean, even within our own country, if I were to go to the southern side of Chicago, it's going to be like being on a different planet than where I'm currently at.
Yeah.
Or if I were to go to the deep south, or if I were to go to Texas or New York, I mean, everywhere you go is going to be different in some pretty insane ways. And in a way, it's just an amazing thing to me. It's really, like you like to travel, right? Or you've always wanted to travel?
Yeah. It's a big life goal of mine.
Yeah, would you say that that's probably like one of the biggest reasons why is just to see the other cultures and experience them for yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, see other cultures, experience them as much as I can, see other sites. I actually haven't traveled much in my life. I'm lucky enough that I have traveled more than some people, so I won't say I haven't. But in the few areas I have been, like, I get a real kick out of that, you know, like learning, like it's totally different. You would not believe how just getting on like a flight that's like even just like 5-10 hours away, totally, like as soon as you step out of the plane, like you don't recognize it, like anything, like the way people build their homes, the way people speak, the way people think, you know, it's not just they're speaking a different language. It's like their interests are different, and, you know, their goals are different, and, you know, humanity is largely the same in many ways, but like some people will appreciate things other than other people, you know. If I go to Europe, they like soccer more than we do, and, you know, we're all humans. Why do they appreciate the sport more than we do? It's just different, and you don't have to go far to experience that, and that concept is super cool to me. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
the diversity is crazy.
Well, I would say it's a good segue into another question, which kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. But if we were to discover extraterrestrial life, be it, you know, bug-eyed green aliens that's stereotypical, or a gaseous cloud, or whatever, how do you think that's going to change how humanity acts, thinks? Like, obviously that's going to rock our entire world. It's going to make us question everything we've ever done.
Yeah. I think there's two scenarios. I think scenario one is they find us, in which case I've always held the belief that if life finds us, that probably means they're way more advanced.
Right.
Like way more advanced, like beyond like advanced. In which case we're probably screwed. Simple
if they want to go to war with us, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is another podcast topic, but I would argue there's almost like that's more likely is they probably want to conquer us. But
I like that.
But we can talk about that. Yeah. The other scenario, of course, is we find them, which is more interesting to me actually.
And then we got the Avatar movies.
Yeah. Yeah, because like at that point, are we more advanced? Most likely, but like if it's like a bug or something that we find on like the moons of Saturn or whatever, I do think that rocks society as a whole. Like humanity kind of sees themselves differently. I'm not sure really how to back up that claim, but I could just see the headlines, life is found, and I think it kind of shakes up our idea of science and like what we know. And I don't think it's just as simple as like, oh, there's another habitable planet or moon, and there's life living there. I think you kind of rethink, because it's a new food tree. How did they survive, and how did they get there? And but I also think as humanity, we kind of have an ego. We kind of like that we're the only people.
Oh yeah.
We all play with the idea that aliens are out there because sci-fi, but I think humanity kind of like has an ego that we're the only people out there. And if life was discovered out there, I think it would kind of rock that somewhat, like we're not all there is. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that if we were to discover extraterrestrial life, especially if it was intelligent, yeah, not only would we think, oh, that's cool, that's interesting, let's communicate with them, blah, 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 but we would also have to like reshape our own self-understanding of what humanity is, what humanity means. Right. You remember, well, yeah. you don't remember, but you've heard that on 9/11, like all of America was brought together for once against a common enemy. Well, I mean, whether an extraterrestrial is an enemy or not, I bet something very similar would happen where all of a sudden we start asking ourselves, hey, why do we have so many different countries? Or why are we fighting with each other? Or why are we not donating more food to the hungry? I mean, I think our eyes would really open up and be like, dang, we've been kind of jerks to each other this entire time. It's no longer country versus country. It's now humanity against the rest of the universe.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was thinking. I just didn't come out of my mouth. But I think, in either situation, I mean, you see in all the movies, the aliens come, and then no matter what, like all the countries of the world, like all of them band together. I don't think that's unrealistic. Like if there was a threat to humanity, I think we'd all be there for each other. And even if it was an intelligent life, it was just a bug or something, you're right. It really would put in perspective. I think we'd be nicer to each other. It's kind of odd because, if we're the only ones, it's like, oh, life is precious and everything, like we said. So it's kind of odd to say that if we threw another one into the mix, we would finally realize that life is precious. But I do think that that's kind of how our brains work, because, I feel like you're right. We'd be treating each other better. The idea of countries, it would be weird. It's a different perspective to look at it this way. If we're all on this planet together, we're kind of like one team, not necessarily against someone else, but like we're all here on this rock together. Why aren't we making it work? Why are we divided? Why do we have, borders? It's a lot more complicated than that, but it certainly makes you think a little bit.
Yeah, and you made a really good point earlier about like us thinking that we're special. I think we'd be severely humbled if we were to find life elsewhere, especially if there were like thousands of other species who were intelligent with their own networks, communications, civilizations. I think that we would be severely humbled and start and we would still care about each other, and I think that we would still unite. But at the same time, we might feel a little hurt being like, oh, shoot, like humanity isn't the best out there. We don't have the best technology. We're not the most moral anymore. We are now like monkeys to some of these civilizations. We feel dumb compared to these civilizations. I love thinking
Yeah.
about Star Trek. I mean, because in Star Trek, it seems like every civilization works together and can be almost as intelligent as one another, working together on same projects. But the fact is, it's like you said, if an alien civilization found us from another solar system or even galaxy, then they are going to be thousands of years in the future more technologically advanced
Yeah.
than we are. And if they wanted to wipe us out, then I could guarantee they could do that easy peasy. It's not like the movies where we go to war and somehow we win. You know, it would not be like that. It would be
Drop a nuke in the
absolute
mothership or
extermination.
something, yeah.
Yeah, if they wanted it to be, it would be an absolute extermination.
Yeah. You bring up like in Star Trek, how we kind of work together to kind of like the planets work together to kind of bring each other on the same level, like technology and culture. I'll be honest, I don't think there's any scenario where that happens, dude. I mean, think about Earth nowadays. I mean, as countries, do we kind of lift each other up and like, I mean, kind of to an extent, but we still have third world countries, you know, we still have countries of poverty, you know, are we constantly like lifting each other up to be at the same level? No. I mean, we're at odds with each other. We have wars. In a way, if there was a bunch of planets of intelligent life and we all interacted with each other in like a Star Trek kind of situation, I think it would kind of get rid of the concept of countries within planets, you know? I think Earth would just kind of be Earth over time. There would be no point in division between like the planets. Maybe I'm wrong. But as far as planets versus planets, yeah, I still think there would definitely be wars and, you know, classes. Some planets would be more advanced than others and they would keep it that way. Life is just competitive. It's always been that way with any species you can think of. Competition is just kind of how things work. It's natural.
Right, but the hope is that if a civilization were to become so advanced where it could, you know, go at light speed and harness the energy of stars, the hope is that competitiveness would no longer be a thing because there's nothing to compete for. Like, civilization already has everything. You know what I mean?
I don't know. You would think so. Yeah. Like, I get what you're saying, but like, you'd think we'd be at that point now, even like with all this technology, you'd think that something as simple as like hunger would be like not even a problem, but it totally is in like many parts of the world.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I see where your head's at. It's hard to envision.
Yeah. I guess my hope is that we would be discovered by another alien race. But that alien race would be... What's that?
That has everything figured out.
Yeah. Like they've transcended us so far that they're already united. Like they're already super technologically advanced. Like they're just gonna ask us, "Hey, do you want to join and be a part of our Star Trek universe?" And we'll be like, "Oh, sure."
Yeah, be a part of Utopia. Yeah.
Humans would probably cause some problems, but I bet they would smack us into shape.
True. We'd have to be slaves for a while, but it's only our own good, right? It's for
Yeah.
our own good.
What if just out of like reflex, all of the presidents of the countries are like, I know they're asking us to join them, but we should just nuke them.
You know, the
They're lying.
podcast episode is like, does humanity like to be ruled? You know, are we power hungry? Do some parts of humanity like we can't help but be controlled? That might be an interesting episode, but that is funny. Someone, you know, some wacko would try to like nuke even like an intelligent species that was like 100% friendly. They'd come down and be like, "Greetings, we've come to help." And someone would be like, "Nuke those suckers."
Yeah. And there's already a tons of shows and movies like that where that happens, but yeah, it's still funny to think about. Just like they're probably lying to us. We can't trust them. We got to strike first.
Yeah, it was weird, but I don't know. I kind of feel like it's the same with time travel. Like I've always said with time travel, if time travel exists as far as traveling to the past, I feel like maybe I've seen too much Back to the Future, but I feel like we'd know already because they'd be coming to the past. You know what I mean? But I think it's the same for intelligent life. Like, if we're going to be visited by a higher species, they obviously have the technology to come here. Why haven't they yet? You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, it's kind of hard to put into words, but like, if they haven't yet, that means they haven't reached there yet. And where's that threshold? I feel like there would be a threshold where we would start to see them trying to come here at least. And so when people are like, oh, the aliens are here, but they just haven't officially contacted us. Well, it's like, why not? You know, are they spying on us? That just doesn't make much sense. If they're that advanced, why do they need to spy on us? You know?
Right.
If anything, I think the more realistic scenario is that they can get here, kind of, but they haven't really figured it out. So they just send, you know, they can't send people here, but they have the technology to send maybe machines here. So
wait, are you saying saying you believe that we've been visited by extraterrestrials?
No, I'm saying if extraterrestrials are going to visit us, they either would have by now or they can't. And
Okay,
thereby, if people say, oh, they have, look at these UFOs. Well, then if that's true, they're probably just machines. Otherwise, why haven't they contacted us already? I just can't see a reason why, A, they can come here, and B, they haven't. You know, I don't really see that. That's why the whole concept of aliens to me doesn't make a ton of sense.
I could tell you exactly why, Buck.
Why? Because they're ashamed because we're bad?
Kind of. I would say that it's plenty plausible that other life forms know exist but haven't interacted with us because they think we're either not mature enough, because they don't think we're technologically advanced enough to actually do anything, or that we would destroy ourselves if we found out that we were being watched by a super advanced civilization. One of those three things, I think.
Well, if they were super advanced, though, wouldn't they want to either help or kill us? If they're looking at us and they're like, oh, these guys are idiots, like they're not going to be able to, you know, they're not smart enough to sustain themselves anyway. Then why? Well, why would they say that? What's their intention? Like, are they trying to interact with us, but we don't have much to offer? Is that what you're saying? Like, it's not worth their time? I'm
saying that I walk by small hills of ant colonies all the time, and I don't bring them food. I don't try to talk to them. I don't flood them with my garden hose. I just walk by because they're so beneath me that, like, why the heck would I do anything? But maybe you know, maybe there is a scientist out there who studies ants. We know that people study ants, but they're so beneath us that there's no point in trying to bring them to where we are. Like, they're just light years behind of humanity.
Wow, that's deep. And it's kind of my ego is why I haven't considered that yet. Because it's like, hey, we're intelligent life. You know, we matter. But yeah, maybe we're just so behind some other species that, like, we are literally ants. You know, we're not worth their time. We can't really consider that because we have such big brains, you know. We're not humble enough.
Big, smooth brains.
Yeah, smooth brains. I don't know. I've never, like, that's good. That's a really good point. You got me on that one. But
yeah. All right. Well, we are.
You'd still think they'd, like, send us a message. They'd be like, "Hey, get your act together."
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe, but then it goes back to my other point. What if they've studied us and they know, like, from studying our sociology and psychology, what if they were like, hey, if these guys find out that we're real, then they're just going to, like, go crazy and destroy themselves?
Yeah. Yeah, that too. I could see that.
I mean, I don't think we would, you know, but I do think it's a possibility.
Let's say we discovered life on Mars and it was ants. And, you know, they're ants. They're kind of useless. I still think we would study them, no? Like,
right, but you don't communicate.
You don't communication, but
yeah, I mean, we're not going to try to.
Alien life, maybe you would communicate. I mean, if you can see them communicating with each other, maybe you'd try.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, there's that episode, or not episode, there's that movie in Star Trek where they come across a civilization that is still primitive. And do you remember what the rule was, Buck?
No, are you talking about the movies or the show?
The movies.
Oh, I've seen the movies, but I forget. Tell me.
That they basically said, like, don't interact or expose yourselves to them. And then they fly away in their spaceship, and the alien guys start worshiping their spaceship.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
So, I mean, I don't know. That's just an example. But
It'd be like a Rick and Morty, like get Swifty situation. You know, that head comes here and like half of humanity starts worshiping it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Get Swifty.
Good point.
Get Swifty. All right, Buck. We are coming towards the end, so I would like us to go ahead and give each other one final question.
Was it give each other a question, or was it a question for the audience? I forget.
I think last time, or I guess it would have been 2 episodes ago, we gave each other a question, but I'm okay to just give one to the audience either way.
Yeah, because I didn't prepare. So let's give one to the audience together instead. We'll do that next time.
Okay.
Okay. Let's have it to do with the significance of life.
Significance of life. Okay. I mean, I have a question. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to. You go first. You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So, my question for the audience. Take this home. Think about this for the rest of your days from this philosophy episode. Do you guys think that humans project our desire for meaning onto the universe, or is there meaning to be discovered out there? Like, do we have our meaning and we're looking to satisfy and fill that meaning? Or do you think that as we expand into the cosmos, our definition of meaning is going to be completely changed?
That's a really good question. I think personally, I think humanity like wants to find meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's my question. My question is, if you were in charge, if you, the viewer, were in charge of humanity for some reason, you know, like you're the king of the earth, and intelligent life comes to Earth, and you don't know their intentions, and they want you to make the first move.
Ooh.
What do you do? I mean, obviously, you're going to try to make contact. I mean, but what are your intentions, eh? If you were in charge of Earth, what are the Earth's intentions? What should we be doing to prepare for the possible arrival of intelligent life?
That's a good question.
Should we be flexing our muscles? Should we be bowing down and showing our submission?
Automatically just starts saying, "Please don't kill us! Please don't kill us! Please don't kill us!"
Yeah. What's the strategy of diplomacy? That's my question.
Perfect. Well, awesome. Well, we want to thank the viewers and listeners for joining us in this Social Eclipse Podcast episode. And please let us know in the comments below what you want to hear from us. What topics should we cover? What questions can we help answer? Make sure you go ahead and check our sponsor, skills@skills.com. Code ALIEN for 32% off this time around. Yeah, and I'd like to add that if anybody has a personal, like super personal life question that you'd like us to answer, you know, we also double as therapists. I think that would be a good episode too. So put it in the comments. You know, at the very least, we could just go over it for 5 minutes and then do philosophy. But yeah, don't be ashamed. This is a safe space. Yeah.
For anything, go as private, as personal, as egregious as you want.
Yeah, we have a lot of life experience here, so we're happy to help you out in whatever situation you're in.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for watching or listening. We'll catch you in the next episode. Peace out.